And so we're live there. Good to go. Okay. Hello, YouTube land. We're here locally as well. Let me make sure everything's good here. All right. We're good. I'm not gonna break these down anymore into questions for an individual on an individual level. We've answered, meaning I used to start and stop the Q&A in between each question, and then we posted in excess of 2,000 questions on HISAdvocates.org. Uh, you would just go to HISAdvocates.org, and on the top of course, I don't have my own website up and ready to. That's what happens. Go to HISAdvocates.org, click on shows, videos, and you can go down to Q&A on living privately. And right there is pretty much every Q&A we've ever done, every question we've ever answered, and there's probably in excess of 2,000. The ones that are pre-marked with a date are an entire Q&A, like what we're doing from beginning to end. And the ones that are individually answered are just specific to questions that people have. Now, over on the right, you'll see sort sets alphabetically. Basically, that means we have these categorized. So you can click on sort sets alphabetically, and then you can go to, let me do this real quick. Sorry about that. You can go to sort sets alphabetically, and over on the right, you can look at any subject matter that we've created from banking and money, IRS, employment, what have you. So we're pretty thorough in trying to get people the right answers and in an appropriate time. And if we can't get it done, we're doing it here. And so this is for you to get out your needs for both living in the private members and for people that are new to the ministry. And I want to like a lot of times I'll answer questions. Like you can ask your questions, like if you're over on YouTube, you can answer them in the live stream chat area. And or if you're on, I see you, John, thanks. And if you're on the Zoom meeting locally, which we have quite a bit of people here, you can just go to the Q&A section on the bottom of your screen, click there and ask the question, and we'll just go down the list of questions right there. I'll make sure that you can do comments as well. Panelists can chat with it. Okay, so you can now write comments as well. But if you have questions, just do your questions under the questions and answers tab. So this has been an eventful several weeks for me. And if you guys forgive the repeat, but a lot of people do not go to the prayer service on Saturdays or Sundays because you're all heathens. And it's okay. We're working on you a little bit at a time. Just anyway, funny, not funny. But I talked about a lot of grievances I had in the last couple weeks. I was literally fondled in my package area, literally by TSA. It's my second time in 10 years, and they're getting better at it. I gotta say that. Um, and they made it all based on permission. And they acted like they had the law behind them and the support and all that stuff. And TSA, I am going to see you. You are going to answer my FOIAs, and I'm going to embarrass the crap out of you. Promise. We're going to make it hard. We are fighting back against this stupid tyranny, against the people acting with your untrained, largely abusive, racist people trying to do whatever you can to influence a ruling party, over a body of people getting ready to go on vacation. And you even going through the naked body scanner and saying, I will walk through the metal detector and saying, I will allow for myself to be scanned by the hand scanner, you still had to search a package. And you knew you were going to find something. You found something. And this is the stupidity of it. It was something, and you did nothing about it, right? You knew something was there. What were you waiting for, a crinkling effect? Or, you know, you could have put a dog on me and figured out drugs, no drugs, but no. Yeah, what was it? Plastic explosives or fleshly explosives? I mean, what was it? But I got funneled, and I was I was well, I could have said I was pleased, but I wasn't. I'm kind of making fun right now, but I was pissed. And I'm not going to go back to what I talked about on Saturday, which I was dealing with some unforgiveness right here. And it brought up a lot of stuff from the past when I got in a similar situation. But I don't have a criminal record. And I've gone through TSA multiple times, and I feel like I'm targeted, large white male, whatever. Uh, and leaving New York, got my bag searched. And people want to say, hey, that's because they're protecting. They're protecting. Guys, shut up. I mean, y'all don't understand. The shoe bomber wasn't real. I mean, in my opinion, these things are hoaxes and designs to set up a tyranny and control system against the people. And if we went down the line of massive terror events in this nation against the people, you probably would be aghast at my opinion of them being an inside job. But the majority of them were. The majority of them that they made movies after were inside jobs. And nobody with any reasonable intelligence would have a debate with me on the subject matter, because they know they would lose. There's too much evidence to the contrary of the narratives that they're pushing in the public for these events to take place, and why we need to have these enforcements that we do at the TSA level now. So they're not just going up searching to the point of where it stops on that leg, which is your nut sack if you're a guy. They're going all the way up, massaging, you know, like it kind of blows my mind. So we studied some case laws, but I can tell you, God is good. I can't even begin to tell you all the things that happen, showing how God orchestrates everything in our lives. But I want to let you guys know, I'm hoping that I get the opportunity to represent at a joinder or a class level against tyranny, because they need it. They really need to understand it's not okay to do this kind of disservice to the American people when we know that much of what they do is made up to cause, uh, these types of events on our lands. And guys, most of these mass shootings, if you understood and why they're getting taken off and removed from the public life, like the Las Vegas shooting, most of these mass shootings are made up. Most of these mass shootings, if you talk to the law enforcement, um, will tell you straight up that they're made up. And even the law enforcement of those areas um, will say, we don't know exactly what happened today, but we are investigating what is currently going on, which is not the shooting. And it's because the sheriffs actually have an oath, and maybe the local PD or whoever's getting involved in the actual um, response to needing, to handle the massive onslaught of people dying, which they never found people dying. Look, I don't want to get into this. I'm totally off topic, but I'm trying to tell you guys this. Our nation is screwed up, and there's not enough men in our nation to stand up and do anything about it. And you look at you look at the uh I watched it for 5 minutes on a repeat on YouTube, and it was um Joe Biden talking about the massive reform that they have done in a bipartisan bill right in time for election to deal with this immigration problem. Don't forget, for 2 years, Camilla was responsible supposedly for going down the border and tightening that up, and she never went to the border while we had all of our guys on the border with their ammunition taken from them, their ability to defend the border. They were told at the level by the federal departments to leave the borders open, don't touch, don't arrest, don't send people back, all of that. Now they want you to believe this narrative that they have the best interest to do a massive deportation, the most massive. You know why it's, and you know what they actually did 2 weeks ago? They blamed Trump out of Biden's mouth. They blamed Trump for the massive onslaught of illegal aliens that came into the border on Biden's watch. Can you believe that? So, um, what happened to me that makes a big difference to me to think about this kind of stuff? Well, at 1:30 in the morning in New York on Sunday evening, somebody walked into my room unannounced and with intent. And it was an eye-opening experience for me. Um, they regretted it instantly. And it was a massive conflict that was quickly derailed. But that kind of stuff actually happens. And for the first time, it actually happened to me. 3 hours before that, I was either pickpocketed or lost my wallet. And I had all these issues, uh, but losing my wallet was a very small portion of the issue. What I held in the wallet was the bigger portion of the issue. And if you want to know about it, this is my lost leader to get you to listen to the prayer call from Saturday that I just posted to HISAdvocates.org or on the YouTube. I talked about it because there was a massive level of God's intervention through that whole week, that whole weekend, through everything that I went through. And God exists. And people, we have these issues going on. And I'm telling you right now, we have in place the private side capacity, the law, the Supreme Court, the Lieber Code, military rule, military law, military tribunals, things that are there in place to protect the private citizens. You that are wanting to be state of the union citizens. What is a state citizen? It's a state of being. You're an individual, self-governed man or woman under God directly. Man's law does not pertain to you. However, you, with your unalienable rights, you have God's law, which is more important than man's law that you must obey. And so we have here in place for us this ability to be privately, directly under God with the full support of the law of this nation, the full support of the law of the corporation. It's just the corporation is trying to do is push away your knowledge from each, one of these. And, which goes to this, first question from Michael. Thank you. State Department, return my passport application FOIA request with statement indicating the explanatory statement was not used or recorded to the application DS11 because it was not needed to adjudicate the passport application. Same statement for all 4 family members. Only the DS11 was sent back certified apostilled. What now? Okay, so Michael, a lot of times people worry about that, and I'm going to tell you right now, they've already broken the law. In that when you send something in whereby it was annexed, because you got to remember something, in their own oath on that DS11, it says if there's an issue that you're not agreeing with on this application, being a U.S. citizen or national of the United States, it says if there's an issue, go ahead and send in an explanatory statement. Well, guess what we did for you, Michael? We put all over page 1 and page 2, see explanatory statement. It's embedded in your certified docs, meaning they can't get around the fact that you sent them an explanatory statement. Number one. Number two, they can't get around the fact that you state that you are, in fact, not a U.S. citizen, that you are, in fact, not in their jurisdiction, and that there was an explanatory statement attached. And so, what you do under the pains and penalties of perjury when it comes time for the apostille, and it's just as valuable, just as equal, because of the facts that we got it certified saying, see explanatory statement. So, it's up to them to rebut the presumption that it's any different than what you put forth under the pains and penalties of perjury when you're getting the active state done. So, what we're going to do is you're going to put it behind the active state, and you're going to get the active state done, put it into the public, get certified copies, and then we're going to serve them, the Department of State, the local county, whoever you want. But the bottom line, there's 5 parties that get served: the governor, the sheriffs, the local county commissioners, the Department of State, and you can do the IRS, you can do whatever. And because you've self-certified, and because you've got the proof that you had them with them, they can't rebut the presumption. They're not going to rebut and then you put it in the public, in their public, and then you serve them constructive notice, and then they don't rebut the presumption of your constructive notice of a publicly served document, which shows your self-certified explanatory statements being attached now behind the DS-11 as being the ones that were truly there the first time. It doesn't matter. You are dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and we've had that issue in probably 50% of all the passport applications because they break the law. So what do? We use the law to recreate through an administrative process proof that it happened. And they don't rebut the presumption. So when they don't rebut the presumption of it going behind an active state and it being served to them, then it becomes truth, fact, and evidence in any case in the future. So your hands are clean, you're good. Hope that helps. Second question. What are your thoughts on Nasara Jasara? Not much. Just saying. I think a lot of people personally, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you all get it. But for me, I would have to see where the money flowed from to understand whether I would have the right under my belief system to use it. So I could not just go forward and use what I believe is a party to that structure and that system, which is now just being redistributed to a few people to do great work, supposedly. I don't know. I hear it was signed by Bill Clinton in 1999. I've not seen any proof of that. I've asked for it. But I do know that discharge of debt, settlement of debt, and that element of stuff is real. I don't do it. I don't believe in it for me personally, because I believe I become a party to that system again. And we're called to come out. And so for you, I don't know what to tell you. That's between you and God. And if something does happen and you can show the chain didn't come from any existing pool of what I would call blood money, give me a call. We can do a lot to help a lot of people, but I haven't seen it pay out to anybody. And I know people have been saying next week, next week, next week for about 15 years. So I hope that helps. I know it didn't, but I hope it does. I filled slash did a UCC 1 and 3 and need to renew them this year and was wondering where can I find the form to do so. Brother, I'm not a UCC attorney, but there's all kinds of UCC 1 forms that you can download online. I didn't know you needed to renew it. It's a UCC 1 and 3 to reassign. What do you need to renew that for? It's not like a judgment lien where every 10 years or have you need to renew them, as far as I knew. But let me know what you know on that. And again, guys, if you're here, we've only had a few questions asked or answered. What's up, Dr. V? are you doing? What are you sorry for? What are you sorry for? Hey, listen, I'm telling you, your buddy, your friend that's has IRS issues, Dr. V, it's so simple. Get the call going. I got it. I'll make it very clear, very easy to understand, and they will definitely be blessed by it. So, um, I don't see, is there a credit card? Okay, next question. Is there a credit card use strategy through corporate surrogate of some kind? So, Sonny, I guess the question you're asking is there an ability to use credit card, whether personally or corporately? You could do it personally. Yes, there's that pull of the string of the um use of the social, and that could be an issue. Not stating that it is, but it could be an issue. It could be something that they say, see, he's holding the office. But Sonny, I know people out there that are starting LLCs, and then they go and apply for corporate credit, and within a week or two or three have a $250,000 line of credit through American Express, through the LLC. Have no idea how to do it, how to get it done. On that note, Sonny, um, is it real? Yeah. Do you want to gain a credit line for some reason to buy crypto? I mean, is that what I'm hearing? Probably for from your position or case. Yeah, I can see that. Is it blood money? I don't know. I know that doesn't matter to a lot of people, especially but for me coming out, I want to be above reproach. I don't want to borrow money to make money. I know that some people do that, and that's all they do. Rich dad, poor dad, he lives on and banks money all day long. There's going to be a time where people are going to get caught up in that mess, and I have a feeling it's going to be sooner than later. So there are ways, yes, to answer your question, Sonny. There are ways to secure corporate financing with and without PG and personal guarantee, and um, within a very quick period of time. I do not advocate that, and um, I do not have a name and number for you, but they're out there, and I hear them all day long, and I know people that used to be in the finance realm that used to do that kind of stuff. All right. Oh, you were talking about the incident that happened at the hotel. Yeah, right. Hey, listen, guys, I don't cuss, but I dropped a bomb that night, a big one. I did. And then yeah, you see somebody walking through your door, you see that light from the hallway, you're going to explode out of bed and do the same thing I did. And you know what's so funny? It was on like Donkey Kong. I was ready to kill. And I think it was an inside job. We ended up after the event. Um, we called hotel security. It was at the New Yorker. And the New Yorker was both a hospital and where all the crime families used to do business way back in the day, 20s and 30s. So it was an event, and I went through a lot of events, and what I had to deal with is living out what I practice and what I teach. And so that was the difficult part for me, was separating my emotions and the way that I felt about it and feeling robbed. And I just ended up looking at all how God operated through the whole thing. So literally, if you want to hear the whole thing and watch how God operated through the whole thing, where in your own lives, guys, you're going to see issues and problems, and you're going to go, um, where's God? I'm going to tell you right now, you need to think differently about your lives, because God's there 100% of the time. And it's there to teach you a lesson. It's there to grow you. It's there to change you. It's there to support you. It's there to hold your hand. He's there 100% of the time. And watching that video, you're gonna on Saturday, the prayer call that we did, you're gonna see the amazing um outreach that God did in my life that this last 2 weeks, and how it all played out. And so I'm blessed beyond, and I don't want to claim anything other than that for myself. And we had a great time. I got to see my godchildren and some friends, and uh, been battling sickness. I battled sickness for a couple days, and here's just another thing. I didn't even talk about this. Normally I grab all my essential, not oils, but like I always bring with me Echinacea Golden Seal, um, a handful, like 10 different natural forms to get myself better when I'm on the road. And I put it in my pack. And so I was basically, um, I left that at home. But you know what I grabbed? Never would have I grabbed this if I didn't open up the safe and go listen to the prayer call and grab my passport. So God forced me to do something through my lady that I didn't want to do before leaving, because I have my passport card and my driver's license, and I explain it all in the prayer call. Again, lost leader, I'm trying to hook you in to listen to the prayer call. So you join me on Saturdays, come on. Bottom line is, I grabbed my passport, but what I didn't tell y'all is I grabbed some ivermectin. And so day two, I'm blowing up in Florida, and I could feel it. My friend says garlic, minced garlic, fresh, organic, and organic honey. And I was doing that for 2 days, and I'm like, it was getting better, but it was still strong. It was here and here, and so I knew I was about to get hit hard with something. I started dropping ivermectin. 1 hour, I felt better. Within 24 hours, the majority of it was out of my system. 48 hours, gone. I'm like, mm, 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 mm. So I'm getting my ivermectin buddies on the phone again this week. And by the way, that's just to tell you guys, we're working a deal with a pharmacy this next week, um, where we have doctors, because you're going to have this issue in the future, but where we have doctors that will prescribe for you um, a regimen, and ivermectin is a big part of that, for whatever it is that you might be dealing with. If there's the flu or there's something to that degree coming, these guys are already in front of the game, and they're working with some of the largest doctor network providers and their clients, members of HISAdvocates, and we're working a system together to where you'll be able to just make a phone call, talk to a doctor, get your order, and they'll ship it to you immediately. So I'm pretty excited about that. Uh, let's see, questions. Here we go. So I know you have gone over the no address mail shipping thing a bunch. Can you go more in depth about how to deal with Amazon delivery? 100%, FedEx, etc. So I still, for me, don't laugh. Everything comes in the name of a company. I use a credit card that's not in my name. Don't ask. I don't want any jurisdictional issues. For me, you don't need to go over the top on that kind of stuff. You can even have Amazon delivered to your house, just not in your name. The use of the all caps name is inference that you're holding the office. It's inference that you're willingly being an employee of the United States over the artificial person known as the US citizen, known as your birth certificate. Um, Point is, you just don't want to use the name. So you can structure it up any way you want. You can still have it delivered to your house. I don't, because I don't have numbers, mailbox, different things like that. I have gates. I don't have a problem going out of the mailbox, taking a 15, 20 minutes off my day, relaxing, driving the car, flipping off a couple of people. I'm just kidding. Getting down in the mailbox, picking up my stuff. And I'm just totally kidding. I don't know why I said that. It's funny though. And coming home and opening up the boxes and stuff, but it's all in the name of one of my foundations. And it can be in any name you want, just don't use your name. And so it's jurisdiction 101. So when you're looking at a warrant or indictment for your own purposes, you're going to notice it's the three contract rule. It's all zip code, zip code, zip code. So that's what the living in a private program does. It reverse engineered that element of how a corporation gets jurisdiction over one of its employees. So you agreed to all of this. by holding the office of the artificial person. You agree to all of it by these different elements of these what through public franchises, DMV, public franchise, voting, public franchise, um, the IRS, SSA, these are all public franchises. You agreed to the terms of services in all of their documents in holding that office. And in doing so, there's repercussions if you don't hold that office, meaning do your job properly. If you don't do your job properly, there's repercussions, statutes and codes, not law, statutes, codes, and ordinances. Okay. And so those are things that don't apply to state citizens. Those are things that are outside of the jurisdiction because it is a 100% voluntary thing. And how they got everybody was that hook with driving, with that hook with a retirement account, with that hook with being able to vote. Okay. So they flipped it from the United States of America to United States in 1771, basically. It took a little longer than that, but that's basically the year it really went down, 1867 to 1871-ish. And they flipped everything from operating through the de jure trust of the Declaration of Independence and we the people to corporation. And it started in 1861 when we went to war. Remember, a bunch of states seceded from the Union, said, bye-bye, you can't tax us. And Abraham Lincoln did Field Order number 100 and basically called out the southern states, made an order, did a direct order to his northern generals, and boom, war. And so in 1871, the District of Columbia Act, the Goddess of Columbia, I can go into all the different things I've learned over the years, but Columbia, one of the definitions is Goddess of Death and Destruction. And you look at how they've laid out America to be immediately in debt from a constitutional standpoint from the very beginning. And they immediately made the banks the creditors. And ultimately, the banks got control of the monetary system in the dollar through the Federal Reserve Act and the IRS 2 years later. And then you became office holders, which are employees, which are now taxable per under IRC, and now you're volunteered all the way into the hill because you got your employment ID number called a social security number, and I can go on with all the BS. Here's the sad thing: they made you the enemy of the state through the Trading with the Enemy Act. And if you don't believe me, when they added the U.S. citizen to the Trading with the Enemy Act, that means you are a party to what they consider an enemy. And I'm creating a book right now. I'm hiring a company to finish it up. So pray for us. We're going to get the best state citizenship handbook with some generic forms for people to start working on themselves, or they can utilize us and we'll help them come out. But the bottom line is we want America to be free. The unfortunate thing is there's so many questions in going through this maze of how do you deal with the pushbacks that they give. And there is a lot of pushbacks that we have from these various public officials and various departments of public franchises that people just don't realize are a stalemate. Just like the very first question we had today. Most people think that's a stalemate and you're screwed. And no, it's not at all. And we just use their own laws against them to perfect the record that they tried to lie about and shove it right back in their face. Can you imagine? And so these are the things that you can only learn by helping tens of thousands of people. And I mean those numbers literally. And doing this for 15 years and understanding how to respond. I mean, we're literally in our 14th year. I've been doing this over 16, 17 years, but as his advocates going on our 14th year, and we don't have any complaints. We don't have door knocks. God forbid. We don't have harassment. God forbid. I think there's something that just scares the crap out of them. Number one, they want to talk about sovereign citizens, and that's it, as if the state citizen isn't discussed in the Supreme Court throughout hundreds of Supreme Court rulings. They just ignore that. So the feds will put out these notices of sovereign citizens, and they'll talk about American nationals and their belief systems and how they're all crazy and they're all this, but they will not talk about State of the Union citizens because you're protected. And that's a different class. They just want to make this class up, call them crazies, call them sovereign citizens, and then give you no exit, no help. See, they were supposed to shut up and shut down in 2010 when the republic was re-inhabited. They were supposed to shut down and put the authority and the power back in the people's hands. And instead, they haven't done that. They've ignored that. And they're, in fact, in default in a lot of different respects and operating as a bunch of criminals because the republic has stood. And they need to give the opportunity for the republic to reflect their desire to speak on behalf of the people. Now, the thing that sucks is there's 290 million or whatever US citizens. It doesn't mean they're not state citizens. It just means they're contracted to the hilt and they've lost their unalienable rights. They've lost their ability to be the beneficial interest of this greatest nation's health and wealth. Instead, they bankrupted the nation, quote unquote. They didn't. They bankrupted the U.S. Corp. They didn't bankrupt the nation. They bankrupted the U.S. Corp. And then the creditors, the banks, came in and started using the people as the surety and the collateral and gave them a social security number and made them their slaves. There's no other way to put it. And so we're called as a body of people to come out. And that's something you better listen to. If you're not listening to that, you're not taking that serious. If you're on the skirts waiting for something to happen, it may be too late for you. We're called to be out. We're not called to be a party to that system. We're called to listen and get our butts out. And so I want to just stress this with you guys, how important it is to understand timing right now, especially this year. I don't know the timing that we have. I do know that there's a lot of stuff that's going to lead up to a very crazy year. And there's some stuff that's I'm learning from climatologists that I want to share with you, but not put fear in you. But I think you have to be ready for what is about to take place. And I think all these, listen, guys, we are rudimentary. Yes, being free is important. Yes, being not a slave is important. But you need to ask yourselves, why are the billionaires investing in huge bunkers and moving to islands or Alaska? Why? We gotta really think this through. I thought I was smarticle particles by guessing the big event coming in COVID and just by reading the world. I knew something was going to go down, but I had no idea the intricacies of the world order's tentacles to clamp on the world and put plexiglass up and put shots in place and put nose swabs in place and get every country to operate in fear through this constant bombardment of media. I had no idea they had that ability to do this, but it shows you how big they are, right? It shows you how monstrous and big these corporations can be, much bigger than we ever really thought about. So I want to share with you guys, yeah, being private is super important, but we need to be thinking through how to develop the brain set, the brain waves, the prayer room, the leadership, the cojones to do what we got to do. Because I don't think it's going to be millions of people. I think God's going to pull people. I think it's going to be small groups of people that are going to lead this world to freedom. I really do. And it's going to be faith, and then it's all going to point back to the creator, and it's all going to be him. And you're going to see how he did it, and it'll be very easy to identify. Next question. I am new to your community. Do you have resources on how to remove medical collections from my credit report? Yeah, Charlie, that's easy. And I only say it's easy. If you're a VIP member, you go and you ask for the debt collector letters. If not, I would recommend using different resources out there like whatliesinmydebt.org or .com. I'm not sure, something like that. But they have a community where they just deal in debt. But Charlie, if you have issues with medical collections and you were to happen to go through living in the private program, you would understand why it wouldn't matter and why nobody would ever be able to touch you again with a 10-foot pole. So I would recommend giving us a call just to hear it out. Toll free is 844 HISAdvo, 844 447 2386. But if y'all can't remember, 844 HISAdvocates. It'll start ringing before you're done typing in the letters. 844 HISAdvocates. And just listen to the prompts, talk to somebody, customer service or sales or whatever, and we'll definitely take care of you and answer your questions. Next question. I used a social security number to get some money in cash from a small bank when I was on the road. I haven't done the process yet other than to get a foundation named. So I went ahead with it, but it looks like it won't be something I would want to do in the future. Do you have any comments on how I could have done it differently and still get the money? It sounds like you got a loan with the social security number. The only other way is private or corporate. That's the only other way. And V, it's not necessarily bad. And I always tell people this under living in the private. I haven't used a social in 16 years, 15 years, whatever, since 17 years. 17 years. Since like 07-ish. I haven't used a social. And I know sometimes we have a need, sometimes stuff happens, like I got my wallet taken in New York, but I had my passport in my backpack. Praise God, I went and got my passport and put it in my backpack. Um, so I was able to get home. And the person I was with had debit cards and different things. So, but sometimes people get in this a pickle, and it's not necessarily bad, the use of the social. And you got to realize something, V. The reason why we tell people to not use a social is a personal preference of being truly out. Because if you understood the mechanics of what happens when you're creating that note instrument, what happens is the bank is immediately paid on 100% of whatever you think you borrowed. And so, like when you're doing a home loan, for example, 400K, you get a loan, the bank also gets prepaid on that, and then gets paid on that by you again, and then puts it into a mortgage-backed security and slices it up into 10 different tranches and gets paid another 30 times on it, completely destroying the collateral against the note. And so all of these transactions that these guys do, they do it under the color of law as being fractional reserve banking, and it's 100% illegal. But the bank never signs on any of these docs, not on the note, not on the deed, and not on your loan docs. You are self-executing private trust. And that's the same way with credit cards at that little local bank. But it's also an identifier that you're using and holding the office of the artificial person. And it's also, for me, an issue with creating money for the whore or for these guys that are really bad guys. And so I don't want to create money for personal preference because I'm being obedient to what I was a calling from God for me, to the whore. And I don't want to leave any inroads to them being able to come after me for any reason at all. And that's because of who I am and what I do and what I teach. I just want to make sure that I'm just staying completely out of their touch, their reach, their jurisdiction, and just stay under God's cozy, warm fire of protection. And for other people, you may have a different thought. Um, God may be calling you to do something different. I do know of brothels that were shut down that turned into Christian colleges, meaning the use of something that was so ugly and bad and nasty and sinful became something that was glorified by God. Could it pull you into a contract with them in the future? It could. It could, but they would really have to want you bad. And and if you actually did our process of coming out, and that's the only thing you had left over, we have a letter that we can show and do a correction on the original application to help people to rebut the presumption. Because what they do, guys, when they're trying to prove, when you challenge jurisdiction in court, when they're trying to prove it, they bring in the app. They bring in your DS11 app. They bring in your bank signature card. They bring in the driver's license application. This is how they prove that they have a 3-contract rule. This is what they do. Go look at a warrant. Go look at an indictment. Don't trust me. Go read the first couple pages of these types of docs. And in knowing that, that little tiny element of you using your social to gain loan prior to you coming out, well, if you came out, you're done. You're out. But continuing to use the social after the fact, there's a physical element that could cause jurisdiction in a future warrant or indictment if they didn't like you and they were coming after you. They would have to find it. They would have to look through all your paperwork, and they would probably be exhausted, tired, and realize you were out. And they would have to hire a private investigator to see every move you've made and read every email and understood every card in your wallet to maybe find one, and it requires 3, one place where you didn't succeed. Now, let's say they found this one place where you took a loan out and you used the social and you signed on it. Yes, I'm a U.S. citizen. Remember, when you come out and you were in fact still, wanting to deal with those notes, credit cards, whatever, we have a letter for that, sending certified to rebut the presumption that on the application your intention was A, that you were operating the office of the person, B, that you were getting an actual loan when in fact this isn't a loan, but and more importantly, that you are in fact a citizen of the United States of America and of the state in which you were born on, and to please annex this as a permanent affixure to the application that we once originally did with you. And so that takes a huge heat off of your back, because in, let's say they got the 3, somehow you screwed it up, you're going to have probably 3 letters showing you rebutted that presumption and it was accepted and never changed. And you ask them to annex it to the original application, something you could submit to court. Then you would be playing ping pong with the judge and you'd have a serious opportunity to challenge subject matter jurisdiction from that point. So it's a super long-winded answer. And as small as that issue was that you were bringing forward, V, I'm telling you right now, it's a big deal. This is why I'm out. I want to stay out and I don't want to play ball with these guys at all. And listen, anybody is worried about money, worried about living, go sell your car and invest in crypto right now. I'm not a financial advisor, but I don't need to be one to be talking to people that have registered to come and listen to me, number one. But number two, it is so blatantly serious right now that we're pre a major bull run. And in some cases, you may see 10x, 50x, 100x on money. So if people are worried about money, you never will ever, ever have an opportunity. And look, we have a VIP show I'm doing on Thursday. And to the VIP members, thank you for your patience, but we're going to get big time into crypto. You do not want to miss the Thursday VIP call. We're going to get big time into crypto, and we're going to be talking about how to securitize your wallets, how to restore them, and some of the latest crypto news on some of the biggest gain earners in the recent month, and the projections and predictions that other people have. I'm going to let you go do what you want to do. You know where I stand. I stand on ISO 20022 compliant companies. Not because I'm into compliance, but I'm into world order, making moves and being the adoption of the use case behind all central banks digital currencies flowing through, and that's XRP, XDC, XLM, and a few others. So we're going to be talking about that Thursday evening at 6 p.m. If you're not a VIP member yet, go to HISAdvocates.org. Register, but it's a show I've been waiting to do for a while, and I really want to encourage the VIP members to stop what you're doing right now and get involved and understanding that we've already made the relationships for you to go set up at Caleb and Brown with your foundations. And we've already made the relationships for you to be able to remove yourself, buy cryptocurrency, put it on hard wallets, and be completely in the private and tax free. And so those are things that only this ministry is producing for you. And you really should be listening, because on this next bull run, you're going to want to slice off 40 or 50% of your gains and double down, and on the other side, when it comes back down, double down, rebuy, but you're going to have the money necessary to do whatever you need. And this bull run is going to be a long 1.5, 2 year bull run. And so you can have some very big gains, and we're going to have the relationships ready for the gold, the silver, the food, all kinds of things for you to have the exit plans and to be ready for what is about to take place. And so we've been getting ready for this for a long time. Next question. Can you talk about when people want to marry in part with desire to become a citizen of another country? Is there something that works instead? Um, if you're a citizen in this nation and you're wanting a marriage, it's pretty simple. You create a covenant agreement between you two. You get a few witnesses to sign on that with you. You have a pastor that's willing to accept that. If your wife needs more than that covenant agreement to feel secure, or if you have, and I hate to discuss this like this, but these are just facts to consider. If you have assets that belong to God, that's outside. And what I mean by that, you purchase it with your foundation, and your foundation purchased the hard wallet, and the hard wallet owns the crypto with the foundation that you purchased it with. It is not you, and that is definitely not your future spouses either. I'm only saying this to you to help you to understand why public and private, and why you want to do the things. Everything on this earth belongs to God. So really, we shouldn't be even fighting about whether it's mine or God's. The answer is, it's whether I'm the fiduciary of it or whether you are. And that's the bottom line. So for me, if a wife wanted to feel more secure, you need to talk that through and create yourself not a prenuptial, just a standard agreement that would work within the marriage covenant, that she would feel better about. And you use Matthew 18 to govern that. And you really shouldn't have to do these things, but they are harsh realities. But if for people that are moving in the private, you're never going to have any assets anyway. It all belongs to God. You put things in care of God. You put things in trust of God. And yes, you're the primary, you're the fiduciary, the responsible party, but that is not an asset of the marriage, even in a common law marriage or a legal marriage. It's not an asset of the marriage, and period, never. Nor would it ever be able to be pulled into the marriage. But I'm just being open and honest with you. Pick the right mate. And if that mate needs an agreement, talk it through, put it through. And that's just an agreement between you, bound under God and with the covenant, and get it witnessed. I have friends that hang their covenants on the wall. And it's kind of cool. I went to a house this last week and I got to see my signature on the covenant and read through it real quick. And I actually got to read the covenant in their marriage. So I was honored to do that, but hope that helps me. Next question. How do I buy guns in my foundation name or without the SS number and a suppressor? Eddie, you want to ask the second part of your question is the difficult one. But number one, any homemade suppressor is a homemade suppressor. And that's as far as I'm going to take that. Number two, to answer the first part of your name, all you're going to do is build a gun and put it into trust. There are some guys that are actually putting their private serial numbers on the gun. They're like family name, family crest, family whatever. And there are guys that actually buy guns in the private. You don't need to go through an FFL license, meaning a gun sales place, to buy a gun. You can buy a gun from a private party. Now that private party is going to want to say that they sold the gun, and you're going to say to XYZ Foundation name, it doesn't matter if it's this man purchased it, but it was sold to this foundation, and they served notice to the DOJ. You're done at that time. The DOJ is going to send you some voluntary paperwork that you don't have to fill out, especially if you're a state citizen. But literally, I've seen the DOJ fill, in a private party purchase or exchange where the gun went from one family member to another. Literally, the DOJ sent something that you are authorizing them to come and take your guns at any time. I mean, like I'm really going to sign that. You know what I mean? It blew my mind. And so, um, buy 80% lowers, build your guns, have them completely be in the private, use a gun trust, put the guns in the gun trust. Now you don't own any guns. The mechanics of ownership over guns is very different than the mechanics of public ownership as a registered organization with a firearm. A firearm is a registered gun. A gun is an unregistered creation of your own hands. And so you can build a gun, you can buy a gun in the private that has never been registered, meaning it was made by somebody else, and you buy it, and you can immediately place it into a trust, but there has to be an identifier on it. If the identifier is like if you buy an original OEM Glock, you're going to want to remove if it were me, listen to me, I'm not giving you legal advice. I'd remove the serial number because it's an unregistered serial number. It's just an identifier. It's not a registration to a body because you're buying something from the manufacturer. Um, Actually, you're buying it from an FFL provider, and it's an 80% lower. You're building the gun, and you can do whatever you want to this private gun. It's yours. You can do whatever you want to it. Beautify, polish it, remove whatever, and put your own numbers on it. That's what I would do. And then I would put it into a gun trust, acknowledging that the gun trust is the owner of that numbered gun, not weapon, gun. It is unregistered. Therefore, it is not a weapon. Therefore, it doesn't fall under that jurisdiction, especially being that you put it into the gun trust. And these are things that have not only already been determined in Supreme Court, but if you're private yourself as a state citizen, it's above reproach. That's all I gotta say. Great question. How do I answer citizenship questions on private documents? So if it were me and there was an application that said, "Are you a U.S. citizen? Yes or no?" Which I gotta tell you something. Um, you gotta ask yourself, is that gonna prohibit you from getting whatever done on that application? For example, like the driver's license in California. I just renewed my license, not renewed, asked for certified copy because I lost it in New York. The very last question online, and I couldn't change the answer. It was already defaulted. And it's just one of those things acknowledging the work that we've done in the ministry to privatize Calvi. It asked if I was a US citizen, and the answer was defaulted no, and I couldn't change it. I mean, I wouldn't have changed it, but I couldn't change it. And I was actually thrilled to see that. So my point is if it were you on an application, do you need to prove citizenship as a US citizen? Um, like a lot of people think you need to with the DMV because otherwise you won't be able to buy a firearm, and that's just simply not the truth. If you have a passport, that's going to show that you have the ability to buy a firearm through an FFL provider. For you with you know driver's license, there's no cause or need to go to the application, check mark it, put an asterisk there, and down below put state of the union citizen. There's really no need to do that. But there are some things that you may be trying to do that are relating to an application question that you need to think through, not just that box for are you a US citizen? Because if you put the name in all caps on the application, that is a US citizen. The all caps, your artificial person is the US citizen. You are not. So what would you do then in that case? You can put the check mark there And down below you can put the word by, and you can put your full living man signature and just put agent at the end, or underneath you're going to put all rights reserved, non-assumpted / agent, whatever, showing that you're different, because that word by, you're the agent, showing you're different than the person on the application of a legal move. And in the future, if ever questioned, you can point out the law pertaining to the application. So, but if it were me, I'd do the application in lower, or upper and lower, and I just put an asterisk next to the U.S. citizen, and down below I'd write on the application state of the union citizen, really small, and let them deal with that. Next question. This Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Jamie time, for the VIP call on crypto. Okay, next question. I have a car loan, unable to pay it off all at one time. How do I handle that while living in the private? So my first question to you is, you have a car loan with a normal bank, um, and you can't pay it off. You don't need to pay it off at one time. What you need to do is, you got to understand, when you filled out that bank application, you didn't know what the difference of a U.S. citizen and a citizen of the United States of America was. So point is there's not that need to make the clarification until you're done with living in the private program to the bank, if you wanted to prove and have them add to the application, annex it to the application, your position that you're a citizen of the United States of America in Florida or whatever, where you're from, and to please annex this to a permanent affixture to the application. Keep paying on the car note. You're not going to get away with that. And just even though you can't pay it off all at once, it does not matter, and it does not make you unprivate, if that's the question you were worried about. So keep paying on the car note until you're done. And then once you're done, there's a lot of people that are showing, multiple people out there showing you how to get the MSO. If you want to privatize the vehicle, how to get the MSO, and then how to pull it out of the DMV. I don't necessarily recommend that. And there's a lot of reasons why, and I know that that's not your question, but just make the payments, get your title in hand, um, and you will, if you are going through the living in the private, we will have a form for you, or a letter for you, that you can make custom for them to serve notice, so that you have something that's permanently fixed to that application, identifying your true intent as a citizen of the United States of America and not a citizen of the United States. Um, and that there was a misunderstanding on the application. It's a simple letter. Okay, concealed carrying, a gun trust gun is okay. That's a good question. I don't think so. I wouldn't. Oh, wait a minute. You can conceal carry. Well, first and foremost, you have the Second Amendment. Anybody can carry a firearm, number one. Number two, in most of your states, there's already been a state Supreme Court decision. And if not, there is one in California that allows for people to carry a firearm concealed, even though the statute and code says different. The Supreme Court is the final rule. And that's just a fact in law. And they don't want people to know these things. But the bottom line is, you're asking a question: can you carry a concealed gun in a gun trust? Absolutely. But if you have a concealed carry permit, you might have an issue with a gun in a gun trust. And that conflict may need to be resolved. It's just FYI. If you have an FFL purchase handgun, how would you remove that from them, or just easier to sell it and build? I'd sell it to your foundation, serve the DOJ notice of the sale that has been sold to XYZ company, and that's it. It's a lawful transaction. All right, let me go see if there's any questions in the comments area, which none of you are supposed to do them there. Just kidding. Um, Cindy, congratulations. Um, hey, brother Kelby, I finally received my USA passport. Finally. My question is, my name is in the all caps, trust, fictitious name. Is this correct? Yeah. It doesn't seem so, but perhaps I have missing link to understand it better. Let me explain it to you, Cindy. Everybody seems to think because of a few people out there want you to believe to the contrary that you're going to get this black passport. It's going to say the state name is your nationality. It's going to have all these stars on it, and you're going to have a little black card where you can spend unlimited capital with it, and blah blah blah. No, the under when you are talking about indictments or you're talking about warrants, they don't bring in your passport ever. They always order signature cards from the bank, DS-11 certified by the Department of State, and so on. It's always the application. The application is what proves subject matter jurisdiction. See, that's your signature. Yes. Did you put U.S. citizen? Yes. That's how they get you. It's not the passport. It's not the driver's license. It's not the voter's card. It's the applications. This is why we do what we do. Hope that helps. Next question. What does it take to get a rental property that is currently deeded with a mortgage on it into the foundation? A phone call to our back office will tell you what to do. We can do it for you. If you're in the living in the private, we can give you a sample deed to think about. Mark, you could do it right now with a quick claim, but I'm going to tell you right now that the deeds that are out there and what you'd be doing would be different than what we would do. Our deeds are by gold, by hand, meets and bounds. We do an acceptance on the deed. There's 6 different points of jurisdiction that need to be handled on a deed. I just want to share that with you before you make that decision. You can privatize a deed right now, slam it in a quick claim deed, put it in a foundation all day long. But do you want to do it right and be private with fee simple versus joint tenant? Think about it. So just reach out to our back office and they'll help you out. How about investing in gold and silver? Will it have some security trade value? Oh my gosh. All day long. As a matter of fact, 2 things. We're coming out with securing gold at no premium, meaning what you see as spot price, we will be able to have a company that will sell it to you at spot price. That is being worked on right now. Super important because I don't know if you know this, you go anywhere to buy gold or silver, you're going to pay a premium of 5 to 10 points percent. And so it's super important, but Zindy, 100%. 100%. I don't care if the silver is manipulated. I don't care if the gold markets are manipulated. I don't care if they can suppress those values. It is absolutely tradable commodity right now. There's reasons why I have gold and silver, and when it comes right down to it, it's not only going to revalue and be a super valuable item. I think silver more than gold from an increased value concept standpoint. We'll talk about a little bit on Thursday. Like silver right now is 1/100th minimum of the value it should be. 1/100th of the value that it should be. And this is important because silver is used in everything. It's used in computers, it's used in all these different things. Gold, I think, is about 1/16th to 1/20th of its true value, meaning even at 2,000, whatever it is right now, I think it should be about 40 to 50,000. And I'm not the only guy that's saying this. And hundreds and hundreds of guys who understand how gold is based on and what gold is based on. And when you have a dollar that keeps being devalued, how do they keep devaluing the dollar? Printing money. So gold is constant. Gold doesn't have an up or down value. Okay, what goes up and down is the fiat currency that it's rated against. So gold should be 50,000 an ounce. And if it ever gets to that, I think silver is going to be in the 2 to 3 to 4,000 an ounce range. Not exaggerating. Could they keep that suppressed and come to your house and take your stuff from you, which may be a plan in the future? I don't know. I don't know, but I know what I know, which is I can trade with it, I can buy with it, I can sell with it. I can sell right now gold or silver at par value. I can buy right now gold or silver at par value. So I'm not risking anything by doing it. You understand? What's the risk? That I'm holding a bunch of gold and silver that if it goes down in value, I don't think so. I don't, what, $100 and then it'll come back up next year? I don't think so. Gold and silver is going to go up. Gold has gone up 6 times its value in the last 20 years. You can't say that necessarily about anything else except bullets, silver, gold, and some stocks. But the reality is those stocks are phony BS. Gold is the constant, silver is the constant. Fiat currency just keeps printing, meaning gold's value should be way higher than it is right now. So if it were me and you had $100, I'd spend $30 on gold and silver at least. If it was just, I'd put about $20 on food. I'd put about 25 to $30 on crypto, and I'd keep very little cash, very little. And there's some other things you could do. Ron is asking how to join the VIP call tonight. The VIP call is Thursday, not tonight. We're going to send out notices and a text message. We haven't done VIP in quite a bit because there's been a lot that we've had to do on the private side, and it's just been working. So Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, VIP show. I will send out, if you're a VIP member, I'll send out a text blast and an email. Exciting. My car is about to get junk donated. Can't sell that one. The VIP call is Thursday. If a person has the PMA Business Foundation bank account to serve the blank foundation, what about that foundation's owner also uses it for more personal? How can it be separated so that give to God what is God and give to Caesar what is Caesar? Get personal account. Number one, I'm going to say this publicly: you don't give Caesar a freaking dime ever. Yes, I use quasi bad language. There's no such thing. Zindy, you don't own anything. There's no personal. It belongs to God. How you separate it up and how you spend it as the fiduciary is a relationship between you and God. So, what I always say to people, and what the richest people in this world have been saying to people for years, is own nothing, control everything. And knowing what happened on the cross, I'm going to suggest that you own nothing. I'm going to suggest that he owns everything on this earth. So we give it to him now. We put it in the form of a foundation, church, PMA, church, whatever. We give it to him now. And we are the fiduciaries. So you can structure that up however you want. No liability to file a tax return. No such thing as given to Caesar here. Caesar can go pound sand. Caesar is the biggest brothel, the biggest whorehouse, the biggest La Cosa Nostra, the biggest mafia organization, the biggest organized crime family on the face of the earth. Do not ever give to Caesar. They don't deserve it. You're called to come out of that. They are a criminal syndicate at the very highest and extreme level. They're allowing, in this country alone, 800,000 people to disappear every year. They're using phony tactics to have people. They're using phony tactics to pervert the food, pervert the wealth, to steal your ability to eat a piece of meat, whether you agree with that or not, to steal your ability to communicate with a spouse by separating you from your child, because New York has just passed that law, which is going to probably trickle down to every state, where they can just come in and steal your kids at will, or your wife, or. This is getting serious, and you want to, I'm not saying you do, I'm just saying, don't fund the beast. Come out and you do God's work with this. Those foundations, you do God's work. You preach, you teach, you build, you heal. and not one dime ever gets contributed to that structural system, because you will pay quite dearly in the plagues mentioned in Revelations 18:4. If you don't be obedient and completely come out, and that's what coming out is. It's not just personal jurisdiction, it's everything you do belongs to God. Pay him tithe, pay him tribute, do his work, glorify him through all these things, and not have to ever file a return, not ever have to give them $1. And you're not supposed to, because you can't. You're not in their jurisdiction voluntarily. So you can't collect taxes for them if you sell products. You can't charge people certain taxes uh for whatever. You're not allowed to. You're out of their jurisdiction. So celebrate that and don't worry about it. You can, if you need another foundation for your what you would consider personal, look, I would still be putting the name of the mortgage, the name of the asset of the house. I put the name of the cars. I put all that in the foundation name and let the foundation pay those bills. I put the electric bill, the gas bill, all the different utility bills. I put it in the name of the foundation and let the foundation pay those bills. If that helps. Yeah, over here. I expect to be getting a used truck, but probably gifted to me by a family. Um, I wonder what the best way to be perceived with the paperwork would be. Just have them transfer it to the name of your foundation, and that's it. Once it's in that name and you got the pink slip, you're golden. How would you explain about the fact that a foundation does not have to apply for a 501(c)(3), but it is already an exemption? Great question. So two things. It's built into the IRS code, 508(c)(1)(a). Now listen, Jamie, I don't want you to ever say I'm a 508(c)(1)(a). But the IRS code had to build something to reflect the private churches, the hundreds of thousands of them that existed prior to 1967, and told the IRS to go pound sand. We're not going to be filing tax returns or applying to be a 501(c)(3) status. So there's a ton of churches that are private, not public. And that is just one of the codes that you can utilize that you fall under, that still they get an exemption deduction. If they pay you a dollar amount, you could literally give them a return. Thank you for your contribution. And they could take a deduction from a private, non-profit, non 501(c)(3) entity. And you just give them a thank you for your donation receipt, and they could take the deduction, even though you're private and not public. 100%. Hope that helps. On my passport, DS11 from HISAdvocates, it doesn't have the passport card box marked. Is that on purpose? No, we give that as an option for you to do. So we don't know whether you want the passport card or the book or both. So we give that as an option for you to do. Um, 1 Peter 4:10, King James, every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same to one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Thank you, brother. Will HISAdvocates VIPs have a dating pool upcoming? A dating pool. Like Bumble? What do you mean by dating pool? I don't know what you mean. Clarify that, V. Thanks. I'm hooked up, man. I don't need a dating pool. I'm sure there's a lot of private girls out there though. That would like to meet you, V. Okay, hold on. Thank you. Bless you too, brother. A way to match. Oh, okay. So V, listen. As a VIP member, And there's a ton of things you can do as a free member, but as a VIP member, you can send direct text to other members. You can create blogs. You can reach out, but we do not interfere with your private side status, meaning we don't say these are the public people to come out and we're going to hold this event. And when you come into this event, you're going to be public and everybody's going to know your information. I can't do that. But you can reach out, you can create blogs, you can create meetup groups, you can have and solicit and from a standpoint of trying to meet other VIP members, we have people that have given their entire living in the private experience on blogs. We have VIP members that are living in the private members, probably I want to guess probably 50, 60 of them right now listening to this, who come on, who have additional questions, but I'm not going to give their names and information to you, but they are putting their own names up there. They're putting their own information up there. This is a private Zoom on a public YouTube. I value people's privacy. Um, and I think it's a great way to honor people by not making their information public. But you are more than welcome to reach out if they respond and want to tag into a meetup group with you. You're more than welcome to exchange information, and I don't withhold that from anybody. Hope that helps. All right, that's it on the questions, guys, girls. God bless you. I am going to really try hard to do a His Advocates TV show tomorrow night. Really, there's a lot I'm working on to try to make it work and go live on our network really for the first time without the network exploding and falling apart and nobody being able to get on that we did so many times. So really going to try hard to go live. So I hope to God that it all works out and I'm able to be on YouTube, His Advocates TV, your phones on His Advocates TV app. If you don't know this, download the His Advocates TV app, do the follow and all that stuff so that when we go live, you're going to get a live notification in your dropdown. You just click it and watch me live right from your phone. Really easy. So always download the app, His Advocates TV. And if you got a Roku, Amazon Fire, Android TV, Apple TV, Samsung TV, LG TV, find my app, His Advocates TV, download it. All you got to do is put an email in and a password. That's what makes us private. Okay. That's what makes us private. And then you're broadcasting me on your big screen. And you get to see all my flaws and watch thousands of videos we've been working on for 2 years, putting up, organizing, categorizing, all that. Thank you for being a part of this ministry. If you're not a VIP member, become a VIP member, please. That's how we get supported. Go to hisadvocates.org, join. We're working on hisadvocates.org and hisadvocates.tv being the same email and password. Right now, it's not there yet. It's a lot more difficult than you think. Because this changes so often, and we want the VIP members here to be able to log into His Advocates TV and be able to watch the VIP videos on His Advocates TV, which over here is currently a subscription. So we're working on things, but we have all VIP videos in sync now. Just click on shows and videos on hisadvocates.org and you'll see the VIP shows, and we go all the way back. There's several hundred on topics and conversations that you can be a party to, get your mind wrapped around and so forth. So we've done a lot of organizing, a lot of growing, and we're continuing to find our flaws and make it easier. And we're still trying to make the automated system on statecitizenship.org, statecitizen.org. We're working on new sites to make automation. So just hang tight. It's all coming together. God is good. This is one of those very, very big things that I see that we're going to make inroads on, that no other entity out there is doing what we are doing. We're freeing you, we're freeing your life, we're freeing your business, and we're freeing your mind. And I got to tell you, on that note, I'm really proud to be working with a company, and I'm going to go and experience this in the next couple months, where they deal with massive levels of people's inability to forgive or have forgiveness and they are people that work with the likes of Tony Robbins, um, high level people around the world. They pay them unreal amounts of money. Um, and the value of the spiritual experience that you have in using technology to assist you to let go of these root hard feelings. It's amazing. So I've been doing a lot of studying on this stuff, and I'm working in the next couple months to go out and do a major thing with myself and my mate. And I'm excited about seeing what some people really have difficulties in doing, which is letting pain that's unresolved conflict from a lifetime ago that's prohibiting you from growing in ways with God and ways with your spouse. It's prohibiting you from making money, self-doubt, self-worthiness, self-this. And then there's these roots and triggers. And I've been dealing with this and talking about this specifically on VIP shows and on the prayer calls. But this is big, guys, because we we have already won the battle. We need to live it out and stop giving power to the enemy. And you do that by being victorious, one man, one woman at a time, and letting go of unresolved conflict in your life, and then letting the power of the Holy Spirit take over, and you being used mightily um, in this, call it resistance. I don't care what you call it. I'm not a resistance. I'm not anything. I belong to God. That's the winning party. We've won. You're going down. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We know who wins this party. And I praise God. I'm protected. I praise God that He's allowed us to understand these elements of having protection under God right now for being obedient. So God bless you guys. Have a great week. Please keep us in your prayers for tomorrow night for the His Advocates TV show. There's got to be a lot of stuff that has to fall into place to make it work, but I'm really going to make it a shot, and we're going to go big. And then Thursday, VIP show. Again, topical on the cryptos we feel are going to be the most powerful cryptos, the biggest gains, and what you should be thinking about holding and what Bitcoin is doing. And I'm going to be disclosing and telling you who really owns Bitcoin and kind of showing you proof of that stuff and stuff to consider, because I don't want to lead you guys down the wrong path, but it's getting interesting out there, to say the least. So God bless you guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you hopefully tomorrow night, 6 p.m. But for sure on these Q&As every other Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 2 weeks from now. Saturday, if you don't have a church, you just want some prayer, you need some prayer in your life, want to hang out with prayer warriors, Saturday, 9 a.m. You can still go to your church on Sunday. Don't worry about it. But Saturday, 9 a.m. would love to pray with you guys over whatever you need. Have a great week. God bless.